Okay, this afternoon I'm with Chris Wood, restaurateur and owner-operator of Woody's in Seabright and in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. Good afternoon, Chris. How you doing? And how's your family doing? Everybody safe?
Hey, Rich, thanks for having me. All good. Thank God everybody's safe and healthy, and we're getting through this relatively unscathed from a personal health standpoint.
Yeah, thank God for that. If I got this correct, Chris, you started in the business as a busboy many years ago. Is that true?
2015, I started as a busboy and a dishwasher at Barnacle Bills in Rumson.
Wow, and you worked your way up to an owner-operator, right?
Absolutely.
And we,
With about a 35-year pause when I worked in New York. But yeah, then 9 years ago, I got the restaurant business.
I mentioned you have two restaurants, one in Seabright and one in Tinton Falls. Could you give us a little background about the concepts? Are they the same? Are they different?
Yeah, Seabright opened August 29th, 2011, so we're approaching our 9-year anniversary. Both restaurants are what we call California coastal cuisine, and we call it fine casual. They're very much the same, although we have like about a 9-mile difference between where both locations are, and the vibe is a little bit different on the beach versus 9 miles inland. But everything is pretty much the same, except for probably the location.
Okay. Now, I remember back in March when this whole thing started that you told your customers to pay what you can during this Corona crisis, and that was a very generous and charitable concession. Is that still the case today?
Yep, we're still doing it. It's one of these things. We actually had a very specific pay what you can menu. Now we opened it up to everything. When this crisis first occurred, we heard that the federal government was going to give, relief checks to a lot of people. We understood that a lot of people, though, in particular those in the restaurant industry, would not be receiving those checks. So we thought it was the right thing to do and make sure that nobody has to choose between rent, utilities, or food. And if we could help them with the food portion, we'd do our part, and we're still doing it today.
Still doing it today. And how's that been received by your customer base?
Very well. I mean, look, Seabright's it's not in such an urban environment, but there are people every day who take advantage of that opportunity to pay what they can or pay nothing.
Both of your restaurants, have they been open for takeout or curbside?
Seabright never closed, and that has been in operation, since March 15th with takeout only, and that's been very successful. Seabright has it's got good frontage and on Ocean Avenue in Seabright, and it also has a lot of walk-up opportunities for people and a good drive-up and drive-out facility as well. Tinton Falls, on the other hand, was not reopened until this past week. Tinton Falls is a much, much larger venue than Seabright. So operationally, we decided not to open that until the PPP money came.
Gotcha. Now, before February 15, 2020, when both restaurants were open, how many full and part-time employees did you have? And I know that you go up a little bit in the summertime in Seabright.
Well, it's funny because we had to make those calculations for the PPP. We probably have, we have 42 full-time equivalents in Tinton Falls, and we probably have about 20 full-time equivalents in Seabright. Now, that, of course, does not include, our expo kids, bussers, runners, and hostesses.
Right. And were you able to keep all of them? Did you furlough, lay any off during the time?
We kept everyone in Seabright, and we kept all our salaried employees in Tinton Falls as well. And they actually, kind of shared duties in Seabright. But we also kept most of our kitchen staff on salary as well for both locations. We tried to balance out as many hours as we could for our kitchen staff in order to keep these guys, liquid.
You mentioned that you were able to get the PPP money. What kind of a process was that for you?
Well, it was very, very interesting. We went through I'll mention Bank of America, which was inundated. I think they had 184,000 requests in a week. And So we put our original application through Bank of America on in Seabright because they do our daily banking. We never heard anything back. It just took forever. We couldn't get anybody on the phone. So we went to Ocean First, who we deal with in Tinton Falls. Ocean First agreed to take on Seabright as well. It was a seamless process. Ocean First did a really, really good job at walking us through the process. It was tedious. We had to get an accountant, a bookkeeper, get our paycheck company involved as well to make sure we dotted our I's, crossed our T's, to make sure we got the most from the program.
I had a very similar experience with our firm. We deal with Wells Fargo as our bank. We put in the application, we heard nothing, we got no response. I made a call to Manasquan Bank, who we do a lot of business with, and then within 24 hours, they had an approval for us. So I guess the big banks, either they didn't want to do these or, they had too many applications to handle.
Yeah, I think Bank of America got crushed. And the irony is, the day we got approved, I received a phone call and an email from Bank of America requesting more information. And, I was very polite. I said, listen, I appreciate you getting back, but we didn't hear anything from you for 7 weeks, so we decided to go elsewhere. They fully understood.
Yeah. I think I've heard that a lot from different restaurateurs. While you're closed down during this period, are you planning on making any changes, whether they be physical or operational, concept driven to any of your restaurants?
Well, the menu is absolutely going to have to change. I mean, look, the supply chain and the cost of certain goods are going to change. So yeah, we're going to have to adapt to whatever is available and whatever is most cost effective. So yes, our menu will be changed temporarily. When it comes to physical changes, we just had our new front doors put in Seabright today. I'm getting a new air conditioning unit put in on Tuesday. These were planned renovations that were on halt due to the shutdown. But now that construction companies are allowed to do this again, we're going full bore to get these renovations done as quickly as possible.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize if they're not in the restaurant business, that all restaurants, were told to close on that Monday, March 16th, as of 8 p.m. that night. Now, most restaurants carry 30, 60, 90 days of purveyor bills with them. So they went into this hampered and already saddled with debt. It's tough to get those improvements done until the cash flow comes back.
Absolutely, and the bills kind of lag, lag, and you're 100% right. Look, we're still playing catch up on some of these bills, but we're fortunate enough where we do have some income coming into Seabright, given the fact that we did not close. So we're kind of like borrowing from Peter to pay Paul in Tinton Falls a little bit. We'll get there, but again, if we didn't have the revenue coming in from Seabright, we'd be in a much different place than we are today. Tinton Falls.
Yeah. Your own opinion, Chris, do you think that the restaurant industry in New Jersey is providing a better community service right now as of May 21st by staying closed or by being open?
I look at it this way. I have two restaurants. They're both uniquely different, like as I mentioned earlier, for where they are geographically and how how easy it is to get takeout and things of that nature. So for Seabright, I think we did the town a great service by staying open and the community a great service by staying open. In Tinton Falls, we had no other choice to shut down because the building is not kind of, set up for easy in, easy out takeout. So I think one size does not fit all for that question. It fits for Seabright. It did not fit for Tinton Falls.
Let me rephrase the question a little bit. Do you feel that the restaurant community is doing a better service keeping their indoor dining, their regular seating indoors closed instead of open? Not really talking about takeout or curbside.
Well, I think in the beginning, I think it was the right thing to do by not allowing customers into the restaurants. I think now given that, the curve is flattening, ICU beds are open, there are less and less hospitalizations and less deaths. I think it's time to start relaxing these restrictions and leave it up to the individual, whether or not they want to come into the restaurant, whether or not they want to stay away. I mean, we're a free country, right? I mean, people should have, make up their own choices at this point. But in the beginning, I understood it completely. But I think even from my perspective and many other restaurateurs that I've talked to, our patience is wearing, and I think we need to leave it up to the customer to decide for themselves.
I couldn't agree with you more. We are adults. We can make our own decision. If you feel comfortable going out and getting a bite to eat at a restaurant, you should be able to do it. If you don't, you can always stay home. Nobody's forcing you to go.
I agree.
Hypothetically, how comfortable would you feel about dining in at a restaurant right now?
Well, look, I'm reaching I'm going to be 60 years old. If you look at the statistics, and I'm very healthy, I feel good. I actually had the test done. Ironically, I tested negative. But I really do believe that I would be comfortable. And I think anybody who is in the same health as I am, or who is younger, should probably feel the same way. I have an 87-year-old mother. I don't think it's safe for my mother to be at my restaurant, but I do think it's safe for somebody of my age and my health to be in a restaurant around other people. Okay.
Let's talk about a partial reopening, whether that be 25%, 33, 50% of restaurant facilities sometime in June. If that be the case, how long do you anticipate until restaurants are at full capacity again? Well, let's limit it to New Jersey.
Well, that's all. There's almost two questions there. Number one is how long is it going to take for them to be allowed 100% capacity? And I think that'll probably take until late fall, early winter. But the second part of that question is, will we ever get to 100% capacity, even when we're allowed, due to people's, comfort levels? So I really do believe that this is going to take at least, a year before we get back to levels that we were prior to COVID-19.
A year. So you would feel the same about your own restaurant. It'll take you at least a year to get back to the revenue generation you had pre-COVID-19.
And again, it's different for both restaurants. Seabright holds about 120 people. Seabright's a very local place. So when you go into Seabright, there's a familiarity factor. So who is sitting next to you, 80% of the time. And I think that gives people a comfort level. Now, if you look at Tinton Falls, we draw from a much, much larger area. And there are people who you might sit next to, you don't know. That might make people uncomfortable. I don't know. So, I mean, there's so many unanswered questions here. But, I think Seabright would be fine. I think Tinton and getting back up to 100% will be much quicker in Seabright than would it be in Tinton Falls.
What changes do you foresee going forward as a restaurateur, and which ones are you planning for now?
Well, obviously it's sanitation, disposable menus, different cleaning products for the tables, things of that nature, cleaning door handles, making sure the restrooms are constantly clean. So we've got a lot of things that we're working on for that day when we are allowed customers back in the door. We were always a very clean restaurant to begin with. But I think we're going to have to go above and beyond, to meet the CDC rules. I don't know about whether or not servers are going to be wearing face shields or face masks. I don't know whether we're going to be there. I don't know whether gloves are going to be required. I think gloves too give people a false sense of security. I'd rather have people wash their hands every time they talk to somebody. But no, there are going to be absolute changes.
I know there's a lot of talk about spacing out the tables at 6 feet apart. What do you think is going to happen to the bar areas of restaurants? Would people like to congregate, to sit next to each other, to talk to the bartender, to watch a game? What do you think is going to happen there?
I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to police. And, unfortunately in this industry, with Yelp and TripAdvisor, there are social media warriors everywhere. And my biggest fear literally is somebody coming in and seeing two people standing together and taking a picture of somebody and saying, we're at Woody's, and people are talking to each other, not 6
Mm.
feet apart. I mean, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's going to be tough with the bars, I think.
Absolutely.
How about any new technology? Have you explored any new technology?
It's funny that you mentioned that. We're going through it right now with possibly changing our POS system. We've got a POS system that's kind of antiquated, and the online delivery functionality is weak. So I think technology is going to play a big role in where we go moving forward. I think takeout is going to become a much bigger part of our business, and I think a lot of it has to be hands-free and do it online. Do your credit card, pay your credit card online, and just have it delivered to your car in person. Not talk to anybody, not touch anybody. It's going to be seamless. I think that's going to be a very big thing moving forward, if it already isn't now.
Yeah. There are also technology providers working with the cell phone, where you would have a membership to the restaurant on your cell phone, where you have the menu right online, and even when you dine in, that you can order from your phone and go right to the kitchen. Somebody dropped the food at your table.
Right.
Your
Right.
bill comes to your phone, you pay for it, no exchange of money, no exchange of credit cards. Do you see that as an advantage going forward?
Yep. I mean, if you've been into an airport prior to this, if you go to Newark Airport, for example, there's 8 million iPads all over
Yep.
the place. And that's the exact concept. You pick your menu, you pick your restaurant, it gets delivered to your location, you pay on credit card. Absolutely. I mean, look, the restaurant industry, we're coming into I forget when the next minimum wage increase is, but yeah, I think moving forward, you're going to see a lot more things being automated for many reasons. One being, because people don't want to communicate or touch anybody and they want to do it themselves. But number two is cost.
Yeah, it's cost savings. That's a big one too.
And not only that too, if you think about it right now, we're taking orders online, not online, over the phone right now. And you know what? The customer is always right, as we know. But if the customer says, I ordered 2 burritos, and the server and the person on the phone says, well, you didn't, okay, so it's on us.
Yeah.
But you know what? If the guy orders online and plugs in 1 burrito, it's his fault, his mistake. He's got to order the next burrito. We don't have to cover that cost.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of advantages to a system like that.
Yeah,
And
but
probably the customers would feel better about it too.
some would, some wouldn't. I mean, look, you can do both. And again, it's up to personal choice. Maybe we have kiosks at some tables, maybe we don't. But look, we're not going to get rid of all our we'll never. I don't think we'll ever get rid of all our servers. I mean, there's a personal touch to the restaurant industry that I think has to remain. I mean, we're not an airport, right? We're a local
Mhm.
eatery.
Speaking about local restaurants and restaurants in general, many industry surveys are predicting that 30 to 40% of restaurants will never open again. What do you think that the restaurant landscape is going to look like when this crisis is over?
Unfortunately, I think those numbers are probably somewhat correct. You talked about it before that the revenue stream was cut off. Meanwhile, you've got bills that follow. If you can't catch up, which a lot of people unfortunately will not be able to catch up, they're going to have no other choice to declare bankruptcy or restart another brand or whatever. It's going to be really tough, Rich. We have our business model. We have a working capital reserve in both locations, which was pretty significant because that's just the way we operate. But we whittled through that in a month. It was gone. So we were fortunate where we had that money, but it was gone very quickly. And I know a lot of other restaurants don't have that luxury of having, some working capital stowed away for a rainy day. And this rainy day has lasted for what, 70 days now?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, today's day 66. You're right.
Oh, there
You're
you
pretty
go.
close, right?
Right,
66.
right.
Of course, I know that after Hurricane Sandy in 2012, you were instrumental in helping Seabright and the surrounding area recover. Is this recovery going to be more difficult than that one in 2012 for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we were closed for 3 months to the day after Sandy. And we did a lot of things in the town that you mentioned. And, and we rebuilt our restaurant just like it was prior to Sandy. But once we reopened, we were at 100% capacity. I mean, we were right back to normal. That's the big difference here. We're not going to be back to normal in anytime soon. And, I don't know whether there's ever going to be a normal again. It will be the new normal, whatever that might be.
Chris, our firm is assembling a small task force of local restaurateurs such as Angelo DiCaprio from MJ's, Steve Bidgood from Salt Creek Grill, David Burke, Timmy McClune. Would you be willing to participate in a task force to collaborate with other restaurants to share ideas about preparing to reopen?
Sure. Well, believe it or not, I started, I don't know if you're aware of this, I started a chat room. I have 34 restaurateurs on it right now. And we've got 2 senators and an assembly person.
I heard that. Yeah.
Declan O'Scanlan and Serena Damaso. So when the ABC started cracking down on, I'll give you one example on how helpful they were. When the ABC started cracking down on to-go drinks, which made no sense to me whatsoever, right? They stepped up and they helped write a bill in order to in order to get to-go drinks legalized in the state. We were very instrumental in that. The chat was very instrumental in helping push our legislators to get that bill passed. And if you think about it, right, by not having to-go liquor, I wasn't hiring a bartender. I wasn't paying, I wasn't going to pay my vendors or give my vendors new business. I wasn't going to create much needed revenue for my business. And I wasn't going to pay the state of New Jersey's sales tax on that potential revenue. So now we've got to-go drinks. It's been very helpful. Our revenue's increased 25% since we've offered to-go cocktails. I've hired back a bartender. My vendors are happy. My revenue is up. And I'm adding sales tax to the state of New Jersey that's already on its knees. So, we talk about the 66 days. Let's just say that, to-go drinks weren't allowed in the state of New Jersey for 50 days. That probably cost the state of New Jersey $100 million in sales tax revenue. I mean, I think it was a very, they should have followed the state of New York, state of Virginia, state of Texas. The list goes on, allowing to-go drinks right away. The governor talks about uniformity amongst the local states. Well, that should have been one thing they did from day one, and unfortunately they did not.
I wasn't going to ask this question, but since you mentioned that you're in touch with the state politicians, there was an effort through some of the state politicians to push a business interruption bill through the Senate to get insurance companies to step up to the plate and pay business interruption. Can you give us any insight on that?
I think that's a different ball of wax. I'm not sure about that. Like, look, when prior to this happening, I reached out to my insurance agent as well, because we do have business interruption insurance. But there's a clause for bacterial, this, that, and the other thing. Long story short is, I don't think they have a leg to stand on. I think the insurance companies covered their butts, and it's in. You signed the contract.
Yeah. That would be a real shot in the arm for small businesses if that.
Yeah, and I'm really curious too. I mean, like you said, we have the business interruption. I'm curious how many people actually have it.
That's a question too. That's a good question. Now let's wrap up today, Chris. If you have any advice that you would like to share with your fellow restaurateurs, what would it be?
I think that really you just have to adapt. I mean, if you don't adapt, you're going to die. I mean, it's that simple. You're going to have to make changes, whether it be on your menu, on how you do things, and you're just going to have to take things day by day. You're going to have patience. you know, obviously we're waiting for outdoor seating. We're waiting for indoor seating. You know, our hands are tied, but until they're untied, we're just going to have to make the best of a bad situation and just try to bring revenue in the door any which way you can. And hopefully we'll all get through this, and hopefully, you know, it'll teach us a lesson moving forward that maybe we've got to, you know, put a piggy bank aside and save for a rainy day and just, you know, be prepared a little bit better than we were going into this. Obviously, this was uncharted waters. We were told to shut down, you know, like you just said earlier, we had 24 hours to shut down. I mean, think about the food waste that everybody had. Think about, I mean, it's crazy, but nobody expected this. Nobody expected it to be this long. And hopefully, you know, there's some vaccine or some kind of, and the numbers go down and everybody can get back to work, and then we can, you know, plan for the future. But right now, we don't even know what that is.
That's it. It's the uncertainty that's really plaguing everybody right now, more than the virus is plaguing us.
Absolutely.
How about your customer base? You have a message for them?
Yeah, hang in there. We're going to be back. You know, we can't wait to have you back. You know, as of now, you can still get the food that you're used to at Woody's, but it's going to have to be, you know, takeout or delivered to your car or picked up at the window. But sooner or later, everybody will be back in their seats. Just be patient and take care. Just don't take care of us. Make sure you know that there are restaurants out there in New Jersey that are hurting, you know, not just in New Jersey, but countrywide, that need your support. So please think of your restaurant workers, especially when you open up, when we reopen, because restaurant workers were hurt really, really bad.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today, Chris. I know that your restaurants are really appreciated. I know that your community appreciates everything that you've done, not only through this crisis, but, you know, going back years for the community. I want to thank you for that. I thank you for this time, and I hope it ends soon, just for you and for all of our fellow restaurateurs and for all of America. You know,
we're all going to be okay. Just got to you know, take a breath and hope that the politicians do the right thing and reopen things soon.
One day at a time, keep the faith.
I'm keeping the faith.
It's keeping the faith. All right. Thanks a lot for your time.
Welcome,
Have a
Rich.
great
I'll talk to you
afternoon.
soon.
All right. You too.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.